Where does the Kazam come from?
Okay, legitimately, when I was like 12 years old, my friend was like, yo, we should have cool nicknames. And I was like, yeah, we should. And he was like, I'm going to call you Jesse Kazam. And I was like, sweet. That's the whole story. I hate more than anything creating a username for something.
Yeah.
So from the day I was 12 years old, everything ever, my RuneScape name was, like old school RuneScape, my gamer tag on Xbox, it was all just Jesse Kazam. And I didn't think we would get to anywhere where we are today. So I created the Twitch. I just put Jesse Kazam, and that is literally it.
Hey, she's a beauty.
Welcome to Tarducks, a podcast for content creators come on, share their stories, experiences, and advice. And today I have one of the nicest people in our community, Jesse Kazam. Welcome.
What's up, man? Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, dude, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, and it's an honor to have you here. So what we do with the pod is we start off with 3 rapid questions to get things rolling. So are you ready?
I love it. Yeah.
All right, first one. Last movie or TV show you watched?
I am in the middle of watching The Wire for the first time.
Oh, really? You
For
haven't
the
seen it?
first time, yeah, and it's so good.
Oh, what season are you in right now?
I'm in I just finished season 3 and started season 4.
Okay, yeah, I like how the first season was like the like the sort of the underground, the mafia, I
Yep.
guess
Basically, yeah.
and then you had the school system, which was
Yep.
another focus. That's scary.
It's crazy stuff. Like I'm even in today, like looking at the world through today's lens, not
Yeah.
2002, but today you're like, wow, like this is crazy
Yeah.
stuff. Like they really went a different direction than a normal, police style show.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I didn't. Are you in the season where basically they've given up on a certain block of the community and it's just
Yes, I just finished that season. Yes,
Yeah.
that was such an interesting like thought experiment of
Yeah.
like if you can't beat it, then how do you make it livable for everybody else?
Yeah, and
Interesting, yeah.
and Omar, I love Omar. He just
Yep.
he just grows on you, man. Yeah,
Yep.
it's definitely good. All right. And so you get to sit down with anybody through the history of time. Who are you sitting down with and having a conversation with?
Oh my gosh.
I know, we're going deep.
Anybody through the history of time
Yep.
having a conversation with? I don't know, man. I feel like this is probably super. I haven't really ever thought about this. Like, I know it's like a super common question. I think right off the top of my head, as cliche as it is, like, I'd be interested to pick the mind of a character like Steve Jobs. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like, obviously I don't know a whole lot about him, but like, I feel like the Steve Jobs effect on culture was interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he was almost, after he passed, he would like became this like mystical creature. And
Yeah.
and now when you hear about him, I have no idea if like any of the things are true or
Right.
exaggerated or whatever. But like
Yeah.
you can't deny that he had this like complete shift. He caused part of a complete shift on how people look at technology
Yeah.
and design and software and hardware.
Yeah.
And so I find that to be really interesting.
And then the social impact that he's had on how our lives change because of the phone.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's a pretty, like, love him or hate him, love Apple or hate Apple.
Yeah.
It is crazy to hear the stories of, like all the big, shareholders of the Fortune 500 companies saying like, nobody's going to want that. It doesn't have a real keyboard on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, and just to think about where we are now as a result of that and other devices like that and other
Yeah.
people like Steve Jobs taking us into this future.
Yeah.
It's pretty unbelievable to think that we got to live through that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
totally. Yeah,
like-
absolutely.
yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah. So number 3 is a pizza company's coming to you and they're asking you to create the Jesse Kazam pizza. What is on that pie?
Oh my gosh. My favorite topping combination is pepperoni and banana peppers. I
Okay.
feel like the pepper, it just like, it's got a little bit of the crunch and it just like gives it because a lot of people go crazy with meats and cheeses and they just make it heavier and heavier and heavier.
Yeah.
And that's how I used to be. But I feel like as I've grown, I've started to appreciate the vegetables on the pizza because
Yeah.
it adds texture and flavor without like the heaviness of another greasy thing.
Yeah.
So like super simple pepperoni is the ultimate pizza topping. There's some banana peppers on there and some extra marinara sauce for dipping the crust in.
Oh, I like the marinade. Okay, that's good. All right.
Perfect.
Sweet.
Perfection.
All right. So I guess first thing, you went to TwitchCon. Was it your first time at one of these conventions?
Yeah. First time really at any big convention type thing and first TwitchCon. So I remember in like 2019 being like, oh man, all the friends went. I'm sorry I missed it. I'm so excited to go next year. And then, everything happened. So now here we are, 2-3 years later outside of 2019. But yeah, it was my first one and it was super fun.
So you went as a fan and also as a celebrity.
Yeah.
Even though, you shake your head, but it's true. You've got your community. You are Jesse, and now you're at the Twitch show. What was that experience like?
It was cool. It was really crazy to have both sides of that experience so close together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I would see people like Wellen or General Sam or Pestily and walk up to these guys and be like, oh my God, dude, like I love your content, man. Like you're so cool.
Yeah.
And they were like so chill, like, oh yeah. And then I'll turn around and somebody else will be like, yo, Jesse, I love your content, man. And like that having the almost like the whiplash of that experience.
Yeah.
I think it's a good way in a lot of ways because it really like forces you to like look at both perspectives and be like, we're all just nerds playing video games. You know what I mean? Like we're all just people doing the thing, and that doesn't like diminish the work put in and the entertainment value that the people provide. But like, this is such an interesting industry because you think about other places in the entertainment industry, whether it be music or acting or whatever, like a lot of times there's so much training that goes in, I come a little bit from the music world. You know what I mean? I knew guys that just spent 8-10 hours a day practicing their craft, and some of these people don't make it. And so it's like, not to diminish content creation, but I do think there's something to be said that at the end of the day, we're all just kind of people that fell into it on accident a little bit. You know what I mean? Guys like Pestily like are a real put his picture on my wall and be like, I want to work as hard as that guy for sure. But there's still a little element of it. It's like when none of us went to Juilliard, like we're just dudes doing a thing and it worked out, and it's really cool. Yeah.
Nobody went to school. This is all okay. Your friends helping you, or let me look up this YouTube video on how to set up this, camera or whatnot.
Yeah. So having those experiences of like me meeting someone and then turning around and somebody meeting me, it's like, it was kind of like, it was good perspective, I guess. Yeah.
And then you also bring up a good point, like, a bunch of nerds getting together, nerds who sit in their, in their environment 40 hours a week or more even. And now you're all together seeing each other. It's like, it's that awkwardness.
It is. It is. And it's super weird because like, I talk to my wife all the time, and especially like when I was first getting into this, like she was super surprised that I wanted to do this and like this kind of stuff because I am pretty naturally like introverted.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I would always rather be with like a smaller group of people than like a large group of people.
Right.
My quote unquote batteries get recharged kind of like alone or just with my wife. I love socializing, but like I don't know if that's the most accurate description, but I feel like that's one I've heard where it's like, where do you get filled up? Is it with a bunch of people or is it more secluded? So like, I love socializing, but when I just need to recharge, I just want to chill. And so I'm more naturally introverted. So she was like, you want to then just go and speak to hundreds or thousands of people.
Yeah.
And it like is this, perfect mix where like I'm alone in my room.
Right.
Talking to hundreds or people and getting that social interaction. So to then be like in real life, because as the streamer, you're kind of driving the ship. You're in control. I can move away from a conversation, or Tarkov's always there. If there's a lull, so like I can ask a question about the game. So then it's like, oh, you have to remember how to like socialize in real life and like deal with awkward pauses and like ask questions to people. And
right.
So,
yeah. Oh, totally. And I've shared this a couple times. I'm the same way with my wife. Like, if we order food, she'll call because I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to, don't like large crowds, and I'll go pick it up. But she goes, Barry, you talk to strangers a few times a week. How,
Yep.
what, yeah, I don't know. It's just,
Like,
this
it's
is,
different. I don't know how to explain it, but it's different. Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. So now, what, coming back from TwitchCon, what was, what were some of the memorable moments for you?
The podcast was really cool that we
Yeah.
did while we were live there. Like that was cool because it was like it was I feel like a lot of times in social, in social settings, you just need a little bit of something else going on to like
Yeah.
get everybody's juices flowing. Like when you're just standing in a circle outside of a convention center, it's hey, like how are you? Like how was the flight? You know what I
Right.
mean? Trying
Yeah.
to do a thing, but like if you're bowling or if you're eating or if you're doing something, it's just enough of to keep your hands and your mind busy that like
Yeah.
conversations really start to flow. So like that was cool because like we all got in a room, there was pizza, there was beer, we were talking to chat, and like once the conversation starts rolling about Tarkov, of course where
Oh,
we all live in it, so
yes.
everybody's got something to say. So like that was a really memorable moment. And then just like going around like bar hopping after
Yeah.
everything, you know what I mean, every night out till 1 or 2 a.m. just like meeting up with different groups of people, just like hanging out,
Yeah.
talking life, content creation, Tarkov, and
Oh,
those
perfect.
were the moments.
Yeah.
Those were the good moments for
Oh,
sure.
that's awesome. And I think the podcast was such a genius thing to do. And I think it speaks volume to the community. You have people who are just starting out streaming, you have people who've been doing it for years. And there was just, it just seemed really genuine. I had Julie on the other day, and
I
she
saw that,
said
yeah.
it was really cool that she said, like, here's clean, here's ammunition and Ames playing Jenga at a bar. And it's just like, it was just such a cool,
Yep.
egos
Yep.
were left
Just
at home or they don't exist with that
exactly.
crew.
Exactly. It was just like a humanizing. We're all, doing the same thing, trying to do the same thing, trying to just have fun, be
Yeah.
entertaining and enjoy the game. And so it was a really cool moment
Yeah.
for sure.
Any funny moments that stick out that like, oh my God, that was, he's a riot or she's crazy.
Pep is my favorite person in the world.
He is, isn't he?
Oh my god, it was just like he's so like who he is on stream in real
Yeah.
life too, and it's so like I kept gravitating towards him. It was just so much fun talking to him. He's just like brings this like life, and like you just want to be laughing and talking to Pep, and
Yeah.
so it was cool. Pep and Gibbon were just like always life of it for me.
Oh,
So it was just like cool being able to hang out with them.
yeah. Yeah. I recently had both of them on, and Tweak came on, and Tweak said Pep is one of the most underrated people on Twitch.
I completely agree.
He should have 1,000 people every time he's live. He's just so good.
I completely agree. I really do. Like he's just it's the perfect amount for somebody like me. It's the perfect amount of entertainment where he's like hilarious and there's never a dull moment, but it's not like crazy over the top.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, and that's the thing. It's like when you meet him, it's like, this is just Pep. Like this is who he is. He's
Yeah.
not trying to play a character. He's not trying to do anything. It's like, he's just Pep. And he's just like, yeah, I found him through Deadly Slob because they used to do like the marksman days
Right.
back in the day. And I
Yeah.
remember Deadly saying the same thing, like, bro, Pep is just the man. And so then I started watching him, and we've gamed a few times.
Yeah.
And like it was so cool being able to meet him.
Oh,
in person.
that's awesome. And now anybody that's stuck out there, you're like, they were larger than life. You're like, because you see them on a screen, and now
Yeah.
you see them, it's like, holy shit, that person's that tall, or this person's this
Yep.
tiny.
Yeah. I mean, like one peg was like 3 feet taller than I thought he'd be. I mean, he was like 6'4" or something. I don't know. He was tall, dude. He just like, I saw him and then he was like sitting down. He like stood up to say, hey. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, what's up, dude? One peg.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. it was
Oh, cool. Now, I'm assuming you're going to go back to the next one or hit a PAX or something along the
Yeah,
way.
for sure. I had been interested in doing PAX because like they have the PAX East and I'm on
Yeah.
the East Coast. So I was
Yeah.
like, that might be able to swing that. But I don't really know much about PAX, but I
Yeah.
definitely plan on going to TwitchCon again for sure. And even for people who aren't from the content creation sphere, like if they wanted to go, like honestly buying even just like a 1-day pass, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we probably spent a total of like 2 to 3 hours in the convention center.
Yeah.
And some of that was me like networking, not
Right.
even like so if you're not there to like network, then a 1-day pass where you can see everything, experience it, do the cool
Yeah.
stuff, maybe do it on the day that there's a meet and greet you want to do. But the most fun was just like almost every day we had just like Tarkov community meetups out on the
Yeah.
steps. You didn't have to be inside. And then we were just like going out to bars. Community members were there, you know,
Yeah.
not even just, it wasn't even just streamers. So yeah, I definitely
Awesome.
want to do that again for sure.
Very cool. All right. So, who was Jesse before Jesse found the live button? What?
Oh,
You know,
man.
where did you come from?
Dude, so many things. So I've done a lot of things. So like, I guess, out of like, I like did high school, and then I did like, I got my AA. I did like, I dual enrolled in high school, and then I only did a few semesters to get my AA. I got married super young. I was
Yeah.
19 when I got
Oh
married.
my God.
Yeah, and we really quickly, we started a business. We started like a 501c3 nonprofit, like kind of like youth ministry type thing, where we
Okay.
basically traveled around the Southeast quite a bit,
Yeah.
trying to like, we aimed at really providing like the production side of things. So we had like a band, we
Yeah.
had equipment, we had a big trailer that we would lug around. And so I kind of did like this pseudo music type deal and we did that for several years, about 7 or 8 years. That it was a blast just traveling around and doing
Yeah.
music and stuff like that, especially being so young. And then I worked for Apple for a while, just doing like the nerdy tech stuff.
Yeah.
We did my wife launched like an apparel thing, like a clothing, like a t-shirt company.
Yeah.
We tried to make that work for a while. That failed miserably. It was super fun, but that failed absolutely miserably. And then I got into, I convinced my boss at the time to let me rent a drone,
Yeah.
just because I convinced him for some real legitimate reason, but I just wanted to fly a drone. I didn't have a license or anything. So I
Yeah.
convinced him to rent a drone for like an event we were doing.
Yeah.
And then we had the drone for like a week. So then I took the drone out to the city. At the time I was living in South Carolina on the coast, and I just filmed everything I could in the city, and I just like edited it into some music to this really cool thing. And then I just started emailing everybody, and I was like, do you want to buy this cool video? I was like emailing the city and the like marketing
Okay.
department of the city, and like other like Facebook groups that were like centered around the city that do like all sorts of stuff.
Oh, cool.
And then we returned the drone. I sold that video for like $700, bought the camera that I now use to live stream.
Oh, nice.
Started doing video work, then got plugged in, and then that's how I ended up getting a job doing videography and video
God.
editing for a production company. And that's what I was doing when I started streaming.
Yeah.
And then when COVID hit, that was a really small company and a really small team.
Yeah.
So when COVID hit, they had to like let me go. They were
Yeah.
like, we can go to like contract work. And I saw it coming. It wasn't like my boss canned me. It was like, he had a family to support. There
Yeah.
were only 3 of us at the company, and we lost 80% of our clients. You know what I
Wow.
mean?
Yeah.
When the shutdowns happened, because nobody had a marketing budget
Right.
when that happened. So I was like, I kind of see that coming.
Yeah.
So, and that was when we pivoted. It was crazy. We were having conversations about like, I was like, babe, streaming is going really, really good. I was like, maybe in like a year or 2, I might be able to go full time.
Yeah.
Then the shutdowns happened. And then 2 weeks later, we found out that my wife was pregnant with our second kid. And then a week later, I lost my job.
Oh my God.
So I was like, well,
All right.
we're going to do it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, we're going to give it a go.
Holy crap. That's so cool. And now, so do you play any instruments?
Yeah, I played guitar for a long time.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
I'm no Veritas at all. You know what I mean? I would reject any opportunity to like
Oh.
practice a scale. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I was just like, I remember my dad was trying to get me with a guitar teacher that I liked, and
Yeah.
I was just like not vibing. And I finally got to one guy where he was like, it was like my guitar lesson, and he was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, can you teach me Back in Black from AC/DC?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah. And I was like, this is the guy. And like, so I didn't learn scales. I didn't learn technique. Every
Yeah.
week was just like, can you teach me Stairway to Heaven? And he was like, yeah, sure.
Uh-huh.
And so I played guitar for a while. Yeah.
Nice. So we're not going to see any dueling axe videos with you and Veritas?
Probably not. It's
Okay.
been a long time since I picked it up. I have talked with him a little bit, and like I miss the music part of my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like not even necessarily guitar, but like a lot of the stuff that we were doing was like rearranging and creating our own arrangements of songs,
Yeah.
like doing covers and stuff like that. And I just miss being in that, you know what I
That
mean? Like that,
creative.
yeah, the
Yeah.
musical creative, because music has always been like, still to this day, if I'm on a long car ride, I can um, pick a few songs and like get in the feels. Like I
Yeah.
love music. I love listening to the music and the layers of it and how it's produced and how it's mastered. And so like I've talked with Veritas, was like, dude, one day when we have the time, like I'd love to like fly up to where you are and we just spend like a week just
Yeah.
like working on music. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't have to play anything or sing anything, but I just like want to get in on it
Yeah.
again. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
that's
maybe one day.
that
Maybe
would be
one day.
cool. And so, like, what have been some of your favorite concerts that you've been to? That
Man, I when I was living in Orlando, I got to do some. The two that stick out that always stick out to me is one, I got to see um A Day to Remember and The Devil Wears Prada
yeah.
back when like they had my favorite albums. Both of those bands, my favorite albums from them happened at the same time. And
Yeah.
at that show, they were both playing that. So like that was like such a good show.
Oh,
And
okay.
then there was a band called Anne Berlin that I loved like everything they did. I followed them for years. Like
Yeah.
I saw them multiple times, but they were originally from Orlando. So when they retired, they did their last show ever at
Oh,
the House of
shoot.
Blues in Orlando. And I was there for that show.
Oh,
And
nice.
that was a good
That's
show.
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's go back in time. When did gaming start for you?
Man, gaming, I mean, as far back as I can remember,
Yeah.
I mean, like GoldenEye, N64. I remember playing Mario on my friend's Super Nintendo. The N64 was the first console we had in the house. And I remember I mean, I would have been like, 7 or 8 or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, I remember Donkey Kong. I remember Mario Party, like with all of my brothers and their friends. And like, it was just crazy. So really early on. And it was like, it was really like waves once I got like to adulthood. Like,
Yeah.
all through like, high school and stuff like that. I'm like, I'd buy an Xbox or a PlayStation. I would
Right.
flip flop a lot. And then like we got married and we did the business stuff. And there would be times where like I wouldn't touch a video game for like, months or even like maybe a year.
Right.
And then I would like get the itch again and I would like go buy an Xbox and I would play all my favorite games. And then, the business would get crazy.
Yeah.
And then it was like when I was working at Apple was when it really came back because I was around those people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that just like speaks to gaming in general as like how community driven it is. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like when I was spending a lot of time doing other stuff, not really allowing people around people that liked to play video games
Yeah.
as much, it wasn't as part of my life. But when you're working at Apple, you know what I mean? It's like just a bunch of nerds again. So
Yeah.
like that was when I played a lot. I played, Destiny and The Division were like the two. Destiny 1 and The Division 1 were the
Yeah.
two games that like prior to Tarkov I spent the most time in.
Yeah.
Just like doing raids, doing all sorts of stuff with friends on console.
That's cool.
And then no, go ahead.
I was gonna say The Division was the game that made me want to play a survivor type game
Yeah.
with that
Yep.
DLC they had. It was just like, oh,
Yep.
I got a
Yeah.
taste for it.
The Division was a really, it was like, it was such a blend of a bunch of things. It was like a little bit, because like obviously The Division isn't a realistic game when you,
No.
have war stories, but it brought MMO mechanics
Yeah.
it was like far enough, even though it wouldn't be considered a realistic game when you stack it up against Tarkov,
Right.
it was like far and away the most realistic MMO.
Yeah.
So like it at least brought it out of the fantasy realm for me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? There
Yep.
might have been others that have done it,
Mhm.
but for me, watching, the World of Warcrafts and all those,
Right.
and then you have something like Destiny, which like Destiny, what I loved about Destiny is it wanted to take that MMO experience, bring it A to console and
Yeah.
B to a first person shooter.
Right.
And I thought it did a really good job.
Yeah.
Obviously, Destiny 1, had its ups and downs in the beginning, but like I was very addicted to Destiny. And then Division took it to another level where it was like the realistic. These are like, this is a real place. You're in New York City.
Yeah.
And like, you're like, wow, like this is cool. So
Yeah.
I definitely agree that it sparked a lot of like, there's something here. Like this is changing FPS, realistic FPS. It's not very realistic, but
Right.
like it brought it to a new place. And I loved the Division. Yeah.
Yeah, and you had loot that you wanted to get
Yep.
out when you were in the DMZ, and it was just
Oh, yep.
yeah, and then mods for your gun, you're re-rolling and recalibrating them to
Yep.
get So yeah, that created an itch that I didn't know existed for me.
Yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree. And I think like there's got to be some thread there where like that from the multiplayer perspective, and then you have games like Stalker, which really did that for the single player perspective. And that went like, because of that, they were able to go really deep into like world building and just like all the mechanics of that. And like on some level, you know what I mean? If you take Stalker plus the Division, you kind of get Tarkov.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Stalker and Division, but just make it a little bit more hardcore, and you kind of get that. You get the MMO mechanics, you get the PvP focused, you get the there's real people around, and you get the like environment and the world building and the AI and the stuff of kind of the Stalker and the hardcore out of the Stalker. And so I definitely think there's a through line there.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, so when did you get a PC? Because you're working at Apple, you're not getting a gaming. You're not gaming on your Mac.
No, not at all. I was a console Andy my whole life. It was so funny. I moved to South Carolina, and I ended up moving really close to a really old friend that I hadn't seen in years.
Yeah.
And so we like just reconnected, and we were hanging out, and he was like a super techie guy as well. And it's so crazy how like I didn't intend to build a PC to game. What happened was he was kind of just like at arm's length interested in the world of Hackintoshes.
Yeah.
And just like building a PC and then getting Mac OS to run on it.
Yeah.
And I, at that point, especially at that point in my life, uber Mac fanboy, just like, but they're so expensive. And there was something about that it was like the perfect thing for my brain, because I loved Mac OS.
Yeah.
I remember being a kid, taking apart my dad's computers. He had this extra, I would take it apart in his garage, put it back together, take it apart, put it back together. I just like loved that thing. And it was like this perfect, and it was challenging. And I really like, and so like the website, it was like Tony Mac 86 or something like that. It was like the big place where everybody posted their questions and their tutorials. And I mean, I remember times where I was sitting there reading a string of code or text or something, and I was like, this is a different language. And I would just sit there and read it over and over and over. And like, this was the first time as an adult, I would just sit there and I would read something I didn't understand enough times, and I would just get it.
Okay.
It would just like the 130th time when I was like, you're supposed to do this and this and this. And I'm just like, I think I understand. And it was like such a weird experience as an adult to like, just like, I felt like you almost just like plopped me in another country. You know what I mean? And like 3-4 weeks in, you're like, I think I get it now. And I don't know why, you know what I mean? Like just context clues, I guess.
Yeah.
And so that was just like a thing I did for forever. I was just like researching Hackintoshes, and then I bought a bunch of parts, and then I built a Hackintosh, and it was flawless. I mean, I had everything working. I was so sick. And then I was like, I've got a PC right here.
There you go.
And I was like, what if I bought another hard drive? I put Windows on it. I did a little dual boot thing. And I was like, what if I tried to play Call of Duty or Fortnite or whatever? And then it was boom.
That was it.
And then it was game over. You know what I mean? And then the Hackintosh turned into, two PCs chilling in the office. And
oh man. And now, what were some of those first computer games then that you loaded up and got you hooked?
Dude, I played Fortnite.
Yeah.
Probably 30 hours or less of Fortnite on the PC, because at the time me and the homies were playing a lot of Fortnite.
Yeah.
I played, that was right at the time that like Call of Duty Black Ops 3 I think was coming out, and that was the first Call of Duty to try the Battle Royale.
Yeah.
And so I remember I played some of that with my friends, probably 20 hours or less on PC playing that, and then Tarkov. And then I jumped right in head first. I still barely knew how to press R to reload. And I got into Tarkov, which was the worst idea. Like as a new PC player, it was great for content, but as a new PC player, Tarkov is not the game to start with.
Now, how did you find Tarkov?
So I was playing a lot of Fortnite. I was watching a lot of Fortnite content, and CDM the Third was like, I remember him just being an absolute hilarity to watch play Fortnite content. he gamed with Grims a lot at that time.
Yeah.
And Grims has been playing Tarkov forever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I remember watching Grims on Factory in like 0.7,
Yeah.
0.6, and so I kind of knew about the game for a while. And in the summer of 2018, it was patch 0.8, patch 0.9. Something clicked watching him play, and I was like, man, this looks nuts. And so I got home and I bought the game and I fired it up and died 1,100 times in a row, on Factory. But yeah,
Now, did any of your homies play it, or were you the only guy playing it?
I got that guy that got me into the Macintosh. I got him in on it
Oh,
because he had a
okay.
PC, and I was like, dude, this game is nuts, bro. And so I got him on it, which was perfect because I don't know that I would have stuck with it
Yeah.
playing solo, because a big part of why I ended up streaming was gaming had come back into my life in a
Yeah.
real way. I was really excited about it. I was playing with all my nerd friends at Apple. I quit that job and we moved to South Carolina, and I didn't have any nerd friends anymore,
Yeah.
except for this like one guy. And so I was like, man, I'm not really gaming. And of course you can still game with your friends, but it's just, once again, it's the community,
Right.
it just, I'm not seeing them every day at work. We're not talking about, whatever. And
Yeah.
so it just kind of drifted apart. And so I don't know that I would have stuck with it if I didn't have Adam to game with, but I did. I convinced him to buy it, and we played it and learned it together, and it was, oh my gosh.
God, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And now, any games you're looking forward to coming out and playing?
I don't know. Like, there's, being a content creator has really like changed my perspective on games coming out.
Yeah.
Because, and I don't want that to sound negative. My favorite thing to do in the world is do what I do for a living.
Yeah.
Play Tarkov, stream, and have fun. So like, there are a lot of games that have come and go that if I wasn't streaming, I would have 100% played and enjoyed, that I'll never play because I just don't have the time with the kids, with the YouTube, with the stream. I am not going to go back and play Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm not going to find 100 hours to go play that game.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I don't resent streaming for that. This is better. This is way better. You know what I mean? So it's changed how I look at games. And so like, a lot of single player games that like I was interested in, like I just probably won't get to, which is fine.
Yeah.
And then even like games like Marauders and The Cycle, I have really enjoyed playing.
Yeah.
But they just haven't like really connected with me like Tarkov did. That made me want to like go spiral and make YouTube content and stuff like that. And I'm definitely like watching. I played Marauders a little bit the other night, and that just went into early access. And it started to kind of get that tickle. So I was like, I'm gonna keep an eye on this as it continues to develop. But I think the things that I am the most interested in are DMZ is like the big thing that's like coming soon. Everything, every leak, which I never know if the leaks are real, but every leak, every person that's got to secretly beta test all of the information they've released about it. It's all stuff I would want them to say if they were going to try to do this and actually try to do it well.
Yeah.
So it has me like weirdly cautiously optimistic. And then the big thing I'm going to be looking for is like, I don't imagine that I think it's a relatively low chance that they like have 100% completely knocked it out of the park. Day one of DMZ, it's all I want to play. Like, you know what I mean? But if they have the right attitude about it and they're developing it in the right way, I can see it being something where on day one I go, this has something here. Maybe in a few months, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm looking for. Like Hazard Zone, everybody played one round of that and went, nah.
Yeah. Yep.
It was just immediate. Everybody in the like Tarkov or the survival genre went. They didn't try. Like they didn't come at this from the right angle, and there is no update or gun balance thing that's gonna make that.
Yeah.
So like that more than anything is what I'm looking for with DMZ. Is like day one. Does it feel like they were really trying to make these worlds collide? And if it feels like they were really trying, but they didn't hit it, I'm okay with that because you can develop and you can iterate and you can change and maybe it'll hit, maybe it'll get good.
Yeah, totally.
Because you think about Escape from Tarkov, like Escape from Tarkov didn't have 100,000 concurrent players its first wipe.
Nope.
You know what I mean? It was in early access for 2 years before that first Twitch drop thing. So like, it doesn't have to launch perfect, but it needs to feel like they're trying.
Yeah. and you don't want somebody at Activision just to give up on it. It's like, here's our thing, and then move on, you know, because it's free and whatnot. But you're right, with Hazard Dome was the BF, the Battlefields sort of Tarkov thing. But they, you know, they screwed up that whole game. It wasn't just the Hazard Dome. The whole game was awful. And all they had to do was just replicate Battlefield 4, and they would have hit a home run.
Yep. I agree. It was kind of crazy. That game felt like it felt like it was just like they were extorting us for money with hype. You know what I mean? Like that was the sour taste in my mouth with that. It was like there was 11 different pre-order packages.
Yeah.
There was like, you know, if you pre-order this package, you get it 3 weeks in advance. If you pre-order this package, you get it 2 weeks in advance. If you pre-order this package, and it was all of that. And then like almost unanimously on day one, everyone's like, this has no substance.
Yeah.
And it felt like they were like just taking the money and run. And I think with DMZ, and I've heard that there have been some good updates to Battlefield, so maybe it's different now. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
But I feel like with DMZ that it's a two-sided coin with it being free. On the one hand, the concern is the monetization. Am I gonna be able to buy guns? Am I gonna be able to buy character upgrades? The concern is the monetization.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, it's at least kind of a commitment to support it, because it's not Battlefield where you had to pay $70. You know what I mean? Like it's free. So like if they want to make money from it, like they want to support it longer term. So so I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. We got 2 or 3 weeks, I think, before we see that. But and that gives, and if that goes well, there's a whole, you know, new content you get to create.
For sure. That's it. That's basically where I'm like, I'm super excited to play it. I think I'm going to go really, really hard on day one.
Yeah.
And just kind of see if maybe it's something where like, maybe I do a few beginner's guides on like some loadouts and some things. Maybe, you know what, I'm looking for like how much of my Tarkov skills are going to transfer.
Right.
Because like I played the multiplayer beta of Call of Duty and it was super fun, but like everybody in chat was like, Jesse, you have to play faster. You know, I'm playing Tarkov in Call of Duty. I'm like, you know, creeping and holding corners. It's like, bro, you got to be sprinting around those corners. And so I'm interested to see if the Tarkov skills pay off a little bit more in DMZ.
Yeah.
Maybe we have a few really good raids where we get a ton of PMC kills and we upload it to YouTube. And so like, I'm interested on the content creator side too. Like maybe there's something there. There might be enough attention on the game to be able to create some stuff outside of Twitch on it as well, which would be cool.
That would be cool. Yeah, you know, playing COD, it just goes against everything you try to how you play in Tarkov, and it's just like it's
completely
foreign.
against it. So, and it can be fun, because it's just like I'm not losing anything when I die. Like if my KD is 0.3, it's like whatever. I'm not playing ranked or anything. So, so it doesn't matter. And then other than Call of Duty, the thing that's just because I'm a glutton for punishment that's always on my mind is Star Citizen.
Yes.
And just wanting that game to be good so bad. Wanting that game to be like 10 years farther in development so badly.
It has so much potential. It looks so beautiful now, but it just feels so janky at times.
Yep. It's just like you can spend 5 hours playing the game and 3 of those hours where you were just fighting the game.
Yeah.
Trying to do the thing you were trying to do. I want to go mine. Well, my ship exploded on the way. I quantumed to the wrong place and I didn't spawn in a bed. Our party got tripped up. So now everybody has to alt F4 and then reconnect the party.
Right.
And it's like, you can be like 2 hours in and you haven't done anything yet.
Yeah.
But when you do the thing, whatever it is you're doing, you're then like, then I'm like an 11-year-old.
Yeah.
Where like I'm like one of the last times I played, we were playing with a buddy and we all got rail guns and we were taking bounties where you're supposed to kill other ships, but instead of killing them in a ship, we would all fly in, we would all hop off the ship and we would use the rail guns and to kill the ships just for the memes. But it was like the fact that we like without. And when it works flawlessly, it works. The fact that without any loading screen, we were on a space station, we all linked up, we hopped on a spaceship, we flew down to the surface of a planet, we landed on the surface, we hopped off, we shot a spaceship, a low-flying spaceship out of the sky with railguns. We all hopped in, we got paid for it, and we went on our merry way. I was like, this is crazy. Like, this is the coolest thing I've ever done in a video game ever.
Yeah.
And so it's when it works, it's the best.
Yeah.
But it only works 14% of the time. So it's like,
Yep, that is true. So now, so the whole reason you went live was because you were, sort of moved and whatnot, and you wanted to reach out.
Yeah.
What was those first games was Tarkov the first game you streamed?
I streamed some Fortnite.
Yeah.
Because that was, what gave me like the reason I streamed was because I wanted to connect with more people. But what gave me the idea to stream was watching, what happens in Ninja. Like,
Yeah.
that's really what put Twitch on the map for me. You know what I mean? Like my friend, once again, that same guy, Adam,
Yeah.
he was like, dude, like, and he kind of showed me, I had known what Twitch was, but he was like, you need to be watching more Twitch. Like, these games are crazy. And we were getting into Fortnite. So we were watching Fortnite. And then you see what happened to Ninja, and like
Yeah.
he's blown up, and then everybody's blown up, and Fortnite's blowing up, and PUBG's blowing up. And so like that was kind of what put that on the map. And so I streamed Fortnite probably 10 times, like 10, 1 to 2 hour streams of Fortnite. And then I had gotten Tarkov and I was playing that. And I started streaming that. I think at the time I was like, this is an infinitely less popular game, so it might be a better game to like hop into and stream. And then that thread carried through to like, maybe this is the perfect time to like commit to this game and become an authority on it before it blows up. It's funny. I was talking with my friend. So that same friend, Adam, um, we roomed at TwitchCon, and we were sitting at the airport, and he was like, dude, I don't want to gas you up too hard, but he was like, I still lie awake and I think about how you called it. He was just like I went to him. I was like, dude, Tarkov is different. There's something about it that's different. I think in
Yeah.
like a year, this game is going to blow up. I'm going to make a YouTube channel. I'm going to make a bunch of videos about it. They're not going to get any views, but I think this game's going to blow up. And it literally exactly, I was like, I learned the game. I played the game. I made every beginner guide I could imagine.
Yeah.
And 8 months later, Twitch drops happened. Boom. Jesse Kazam was born, basically.
Yeah.
Like that. That's where it came out of. So like, I was just in such a good position and time, and I saw it, and I moved on it, and
Yeah.
it worked.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
excellent. Yeah, I remember that. Like, we found a game before it blew up, and then that Christmas when it took off, it just me and my buddies like, oh, this is awesome. Now people are playing this game, and they feel what we feel about how because it's definitely a special game. There's no doubt about that.
Yep. And like, people don't realize, I mean, like that right before patch point 12, right before reserve came.
Yeah.
Because reserve came in October, and then that December, January was the very first drops.
Yeah.
Before that October, before reserve came out, I mean, it was like 3,000 concurrent players globally. I mean, it was like you would go 3 hours without seeing a PMC if you were playing the wrong map. Like, and so like, just to see it, I always laugh when people come in and say it's a dead game because I only got 3 kills. I'm like, bro, you have no idea. But it is crazy to see how far it came.
Yeah,
how far it's come so far.
I remember that first Twitch drop. Pastilli's numbers were hitting off 100,000.
Oh my God.
And chat was telling him, run commercials, just to get the money. And it was just it was so special to be a part of. It was really neat.
Yep. That was man, that felt like a moment. Because what's also interesting is like I don't remember seeing any other Twitch drops events ever, and none of them reach that levels. Like, it felt like just this like special thing where like the Tarkov community just like, it's the perfect game for Twitch drops because we're all addicts for loot. You know what I mean? Compared to like, oh, you get a skin in Valorant or whatever. Like, that's cool. Like, we're addicts for loot. Those first few drops, they were giving away like weapons cases and stuff like that. And it just hit perfectly. And the community was just like all about it. Like, that was such a cool moment. Like, watching Pestley that day long, where he's like, if I hit 30,000 viewers, I'll call my mom. If I hit 40,000, I'll call my sister. If I hit 80,000, I'll show you my microwave.
I forgot about that. Yeah. Oh my God.
And then chat's like, run ads. Like, it felt like just a really crazy special moment, and it started, everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, when you first went live and you had those first, strangers in chat, what was that like? Like, because nothing trained you for that.
Yeah. So definitely weird. Like, I remember that's like, I tried so hard to implement, like you watch the YouTube videos,
Yeah.
top 5 tips for streamers. And it's like, try to keep it talking, try to keep it moving. Once again, it's crazy how much of it I can attribute to Tarkov.
Yeah.
Like I worked really hard at this, you know what I mean? And I don't want to diminish that, but like, it's crazy how much Tarkov was perfect. Like this game being so complicated, and because I was streaming myself learning the game,
Yeah.
it immediately breaks the ice. If somebody comes in and they have played the game even 1 hour longer than I have,
Yeah.
they have more information than me, and they're like, oh, the extract's over there. And I'm like, really? Tell me where to, do I go left? Do I go right? Like,
Yeah.
is this valuable? Like, because I'm learning this like insanely complicated game, it almost immediately breaks the ice of like, someone's not popping into me playing Fortnite. And at this point, you know what you're getting yourself into. And it's just like, and hey, what's up? And you're like, oh, what's up, man? How you doing? Like, what do you do? But it was immediately like, you're going the wrong way. And I was like, oh, okay, tell me where to go. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so that helped a lot with like that, with those first few people. And like, I remember Desmond is one of the oldest viewers of the channel. Like he was one of the guys that was like, no, don't go that way. Don't go that way. And I was like, okay, tell me where to go. So, yeah, it was crazy. So that helped a lot in those early days for sure.
Okay, so that's how you ended up meeting Desmond. He was a viewer that came in the chat randomly?
Yep.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, crazy. I got a lot of the like core people were from like the first Veritas hosts I got.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. Like, because I watched a lot of Veritas. And like Stealable Bag and Desmond and a few of those like core guys came from one of those really, really early hosts I got from Veritas. And now we're all homies.
That's so crazy. And now, when you do get that big host or that big raid for the first time, again, nothing prepares you from going from a viewer count of X to triple X.
Yeah. It's super weird. It's super interesting. Like and I made every mistake that everybody makes. You know what I mean? Where like, you get the host and then you spend like 18 minutes thanking Veritas for the host, thanking every single person that followed. And then everybody leaves because they're like, we came to see you play Tarkov. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like all those mistakes. And it's just like, it's all part of it. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's no like meta thing that you can do that'll just turn it overnight. Like any other thing, like Tarkov, the best thing you can do is just mess up 1,000 times.
Yeah.
That's just the best thing you can do. You know what I mean? Like you can watch every video, you can watch, YouTube video, you can, talk, ask me questions or anybody or Hesley, but until you, get a host, until you're in that position, you're just going to make all the mistakes and that's fine. You know what I mean? And so like, it was just nice. You know what I mean? It was nice. Just kind of slowly getting there and growing with Tarkov because I wasn't getting hosts of 50,000 people. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't a huge directory. It was like the squad, Veritas, Pestily, Anton, Deadly, Ghost, and you know what I mean? And it was like, we all grew together, so like it was, obviously at different levels, but like, so it was, but it was nice. But I remember those times. I remember like going to my friends and being like, yo, Veritas hosted me last night, and at one point I had 100 viewers, dude. It was freaking nuts. Like, and they're like, oh, "That's crazy!" Like, and then I remember like the full circle years later, BSG hosted me for 70,000 people during one of the drops events, and then you're like, what am I doing? Like, this is a stadium. You know what I mean? You just dropped off a stadium at my doorstep.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And now, what point did Mrs. Kazam look at you like, wow, okay, you're cool now? Or does she like
that? No, that's a good question. Like she has always been like incredibly supportive, but at the same time, incredibly confused.
Yes.
Because like she is not at all into gaming. She is not at all into tech.
Yeah.
When we got married and years into us being married, she had like a track phone. She was like, I have to go to Walmart to buy units. And I'm like, babe, what are units? And she's like, like a text message is a third of a unit. And I was like, I've got like an iPhone 7 Plus. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You have units. So not at all. But she was like very supportive of like me. I think she saw that like I just needed a thing. I needed a thing to do. You know what I mean?
Your passion for something.
Yeah, like because right around the time I started streaming was when we had closed down that business that we had started right after we got married. And I was like, I just need something to do, and I needed a commitment. So in December of 2018, I said, I'm gonna do this seriously for 3 years,
Yeah.
no matter what, and then decide if it was a success or failure. I need something to do. I need something to keep my brain
Yeah.
busy, and I need um and I need I need to do it for a long enough amount of time that I feel like I've wrung everything out of it.
Yeah.
Um, and so she was like, she totally understood that. But it
Yeah.
was very confusing. It was very, once again, I'm very shy, and I'd be like, babe, you have to go upstairs before I start my
Oh,
stream.
no way.
Because at the time we were in a townhome,
Yeah.
and it was like you walk in and it was like kitchen, our table, our TV, and the back door, and in
Yeah.
next to a closet, I just like had my desk. Like there was no other place to put it. Upstairs
Yeah.
was the bedroom, and that was it. And it was like, so I didn't have an office. I was like in our living room streaming. And
Yeah.
I was like, babe, you have to go upstairs. Like I can't stream with you out here. I'm so embarrassed. You know what I mean?
Oh
So
my
like,
God.
so she was very supportive, but
Yeah.
like very I mean, I remember like, babe, I got $100 donation, and she would just be like, why is somebody giving you $100?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't know, but it's money. And she was like, yeah, but that doesn't make sense. And I'm like, yeah, but it's money. And yeah, man, I mean, like it was when things started like happening, you know what I mean? Like the first time I made like $1,000 in a month,
Yeah.
I remember like we were both like,
Okay.
okay, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and what's going on here?
Oh man.
And
Yeah.
things are just,
What I've with all the people that've been on, it's a key factor of the success for the content creator is having that support mechanism, whether it's
Yeah.
the family, well, like Tweak's mom helped him, paid for his house for a year just so he can get off his feet and get
That's
going with
awesome.
it. And so many of the other ones, it was their spouse, because they
Yeah.
recognize how much passion, how much enjoyment. They're happier doing this than they're miserable doing their other job and whatnot. And it's really, really important.
yeah. And really early on, she told me, she was like, I'm seeing something happen like in you. Like because I am like very self-proclaimed, like traditionally very procrastinatory, if
Yeah.
that's a word, and kind of lazy. Like I was the guy that like, if I had to work at like 2 p.m. and I'm up at like, I'm like 11, I'm like, I don't want to do anything. Do I have to work later? You know what I mean? She's
Yeah.
like, that's not how life works, because she's very extroverted. She's like, you're not working now. Let's go do life. And I was like, I work later. That's so lame. I don't want to do anything. Like, I just like, like I was the kid in school writing my papers, writing my essays like in class the day they were due, hoping the teacher would stall a little bit longer so I could finish it. And it was just like a complete 180. She was like, you're like doing this, like you're proactively doing it. You're working hard, you're making videos, you're finding time to do something and work on something. It wasn't making us money at the time, but she was like, this is a complete 180. She's like, I've never seen this side of you, and I just like think it's good. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like I don't notice, I'm just like doing my thing.
Right. Yeah.
And so that support system from her was huge early on, especially because I was working full time, she was working at the time. We maybe had just had our first kid, and taking any time is significant. You know what I mean? Like I tried to be strategic about it, where like, and here's another thing for people that are aspiring to stream: the whole first entire 12 months, the first entire year I was streaming, I streamed 3 days a week for 3 hours. She would go to bed at like 9.
Yeah.
The kid was already down at 7, and I would go live at 9. I would go 9 to midnight.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I wasn't grinding 14-hour streams 8 days a week. You know what I mean? It was like it was when I could, what made sense for me, what didn't take away from the other things I was doing, and I made it work,
Yeah. Yeah, I recently saw a tweet from I don't know if it was one of the management companies or what, and I suggested you don't need to stream 10 hours a day. Stream 6 or 5, and you can make it doing that. But that's really, you're a good example. 3 hours a day, 3 times a week, and you did it.
And then that gave me then the flexibility to, when I did want to invest more time, I got to invest it into YouTube. And that was like, that was another thing where I was like, I think I want to start a YouTube channel. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to work.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I mean, the single biggest driver to my Twitch is the YouTube channel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's insane. So yeah.
No, absolutely. Now, when you started that first time you went to go live, was there a particular moment that you like, I made it? Or was it just a series of events that happened that?
Yeah. It's just there's like that's the thing is like I would write down goals and I
Yeah.
would hit the goals and like and I've heard this in a bunch of different industries, but like it's just never enough. You know what I mean? Like as soon as I hit that goal, I was
Yeah.
like, well, now I want this. You know what I mean? Like, well, now I want 1,000 followers on Twitch.
Yeah.
And you hit that and it's like, well, now I want 10,000. You know what I mean? And it's like, which was good because it's the drive to keep going. Like because I am very goal oriented.
Yeah.
So having something on the board to look at. But the nature of like how exponential, you know, it all is, you know what I mean? Like, I think I have a bunch of the numbers written down because I wanted to remember, but like at the end of the first year, you know, I had like 1,100 followers,
Yeah.
you know, and at the end of the second year, I had like 27,000, you know what I mean? And then like at the end of the third year, like, and now I'm at like 91 and it's just like the exponential growth of it kind of like keeps you from being like, oh, cool, I hit my goal. Well, it's like I hit my goal, but like 80% of the goal happened in the last 30% of time.
Right.
So what happens, you know, what kind of goal can I set next?
Yeah.
How far can we ride this exponential curve?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, like I leave the house so little, you know what I mean? I just like, YouTube, family, stream, family, YouTube,
Right.
family, stream, family. That is my week, every week, day in and day out. That like, sometimes I still don't feel like I've made it, you know what I mean? Because it's just like, what's the next goal? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? But I do try to like reflect a lot and be like, especially because financially, like we were I basically, in order to build that Hackintosh that ended up turning into a thing, I basically sold everything I had that was mine.
Wow.
Like not that was ours, you know, I'm not selling anything that's the family, but every toy that I had that was mine, I was selling my guitar pedals. I was selling my stuff because I needed a thing, but we couldn't afford a thing. I mean, like we were on freaking food stamps for a long time after the kids. We were way out of our depth when we started having kids.
Wow.
Oh my God. So we were in a really rough financial spot. I was working full time. She was working full time. And so a lot of times that is like the big reflector.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of pushes me back where I'm like, we paid our bills this month without having to put any on the credit card.
Yeah.
And we got to go to lunch. What? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. So a lot of times that's what kind of pushes me to like, dude, this is crazy. Like you've made it. You've accomplished everything you wanted to accomplish. There's still more to go. And that keeps me going. But like, wow.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. And now when along the path did you get that Twitch partner?
Man, I don't remember the day. It was I think it was in 20 I think it was in 2020. It was 2020. It was not too long after the shutdowns and not too long after I went live.
Yeah.
Or sorry, not too long after I went full time.
Yeah.
That I ended up getting it. So it was that summer. I have the dates. I have all the dates right here. May 14th, 2020.
Oh wow.
I got partner. So that was, I mean, May 2020. That was like right when the shutdowns were happening. That was when everything was going on. I got partnered then, and that was like right before, I guess, I ended up going full time with it. And I remember like I applied, because that was the thing back then too. It was like you're gonna apply 11 times. You know what I mean? Like
that's what I hear.
Never accept anybody first time. And I didn't get it my first time. And then I waited a little bit and I really tried to like work on the numbers and work on stuff. I didn't want to apply as soon as I could again. I wanted to like, you know, really work on the numbers. And then I applied. And then I guess with everything that was happening with the world, it took them a little bit longer to get to it. And I just remember waking up, I pulled on my phone, I like checked Twitter or whatever. And then I checked my email and I just saw the email and I just like whipped up and like my wife walked in and I was like, babe, it happened. And like, and it's so funny because like the check mark really doesn't do anything for you.
Right.
But it was a goal accomplished.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I think that was the thing. Like I was aware of that too. It was like, of course there's the clout, you know, you want to go in everybody's chat and be like, oh, hey, how you doing? Notice anything different? You know, of course. But like, it, you know, it's really nothing, but it was like a goal accomplished. And that was what made it feel so good.
Yeah. And I talked to another content creator, Break, who does a lot of F1 stuff. And he says, when you get that check mark, it's a recognition saying you've achieved a certain status, but you keep going forward. You can't coast.
For sure.
It's just keep moving.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
And now over the years, what would you say is probably the hardest thing about what you do, going live every day?
I don't know. Like, I think I think I haven't. I think I hadn't hit anything really hard until like this year.
Yeah.
And that was just like with um like what we were talking about a little bit before we started recording, just kind of hitting a drought of
Yeah.
like content of like, this is the first time from the content side, this is the first time I'm like taking a step back and being like, wait, who do I want to be? What do I
Yeah.
want to do? What do I want my channel to be about? You know what I mean? Like, I've made every beginner guide I can think of. I've made every gun guide I can think of. I've made every lessons from beyond the grave I can think of. And we do the highlights to supplement. And those are really great videos. And I love them. My brother edits them for me and he does such a good job. But I'm like in the in-between now, I don't really have a lot to make. I don't want
Yeah.
to waste my viewers' time by remaking videos just for the sake of it. But maybe there are some videos I can remake because they need updating. Tarkov doesn't really have any content out right now. And so I'm like, okay, who am I? How do I
Right.
get creative to create content? So from the content side, I think like I'd always had a backlog. There was
Yeah.
always more ideas than time to make videos. And I loved making videos, so it wasn't really hard.
Yeah.
I think in the beginning, the hard part was just managing the time of like, I have so little time, so what's the best use of my time?
Right.
And then I think now it's a different management of time. Like now I'm in a blessed enough position to get emails and
Right.
sponsorships. And now I have to devote a lot of time to like, is this a scam?
The
Is
business
this,
side of things, yeah.
is this actually going to work? Yeah. The admin, like I find myself like, a year, 18 months ago, the admin was like once a week, I would check my business email and say no to 11 Raid Shadow Legends things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now I find that like admins and Discord calls and messages and projects and like, we call them, I know it's not really, but we call them staff meetings with like the mods and the admins of the Discord and the guides in the Discord and all this kind of stuff. Like now it ends up being like, oh, I didn't have time to film a YouTube video this week because I just have all this stuff to do. So like, that's been a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
Exciting in its own right because it's like cool that people want to work with you.
Right.
But like that's a little overwhelming as well.
But now, did you see these ruts in past wipes where you were finding I guess not finding things to make videos on, or finding these lulls? Like they go with Tarkov, or this is a different lull that you're running into now?
This feels a little bit like a different lull because there were other things because I remember I don't remember how long, but for like a long, like 6 months plus, maybe even more than that, I did 5 videos a week on YouTube. I did Monday through Friday. Every single Monday through Friday, I put out a video. And I had that parsed up where like Monday I posted the podcast, Tuesday I posted a highlight video, Wednesday I posted a lessons from beyond the grave, Thursday I posted Thursday was the miscellaneous video where like you have to think of something this week, and then Friday I posted the highlight video. And it was like so much of that didn't need new content. You know what I mean? There were I was dying so much in Tarkov that there was an infinite amount of lessons from beyond the graves to make. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and that kind of stuff, I was getting caught up. I could make a guide on the mechanics. I could make, I could, kind of bounce between like, here's a high level guide on everything you need to know about healing.
Yeah.
And then the next week I can make a video on like, these are all the stims and what stims you can use. I could go wide, I could go deep, I could go niche. And there was always that. So we had a lull and a wipe. I could go back to creating that type of content. If there was new content, I could shift all the videos towards whatever the new thing in Tarkov was. But now I'm like, we're getting content less frequently than we used to. And I've made all the videos that I wanted to make about that kind of stuff. So now I'm like, I don't have a backlog to go back on.
Yeah.
And that's been not necessarily frustrating, but just like, well, I guess frustrating, but not necessarily. It's not like game break. I'm not like, oh my God, I'm losing everything. But it's just frustrating because I'm like, man, like I want to be creating content, but I want it to be good. I don't want to just like rush something out,
Now, do you think we're also at sort of a crossroads too with long form content and fighting with now the attention span that shorts and TikToks are? That's a whole discussion.
I find that stuff so incredibly interesting.
Yeah.
Because like because the easy thing to say right now is our attention spans are short.
Yeah.
Because of TikTok is short. That's the easy thing to say. But it's more complicated than that, man. JLK is one of my favorite YouTubers.
Yeah.
He plays DayZ, and his videos are on average an hour long.
Oh wow.
And they hit a million, anywhere between like 600,000 to 10 million views. And I mean, he puts them out like once a month because they take a lot. Obviously, that takes a lot to make. But like, it's unreal. So and there's a lot of niches and a lot of content creators that like what I feel like we've done is we've gone to the extremes where like the 8-minute video is not as prevalent as it used to be.
Yeah.
The 30-second video and the hour-long video are king. You know what I mean? Where it's like, you know, and we see that with like the rise of podcasts as well. I feel like podcasts are bigger than they've ever been.
Yeah.
And I feel like the average length of a podcast is an hour. Our podcast is 2 hours long every week. You know, when we started, we were trying to keep it to 30 minutes. Oh my God. You know, like, and podcasts are more popular than they've ever been.
Yeah.
Video essays are such a huge part of YouTube right now. So I do think it's complicated with like how the attention span is going. And I've spent a lot of time considering how I can bring Tarkov content to like both ends of that spectrum.
Yeah.
Shorts and TikToks, but also like, how do I make an hour-long Tarkov video? You know what I mean? That's a story of something happening. You know what I mean? Like JLK does with DayZ.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you have the master on your podcast who can help you make long videos.
yeah. Oh my God. Yep. Veritas's. How long was his audio video? Was it 3 hours?
He told
long?
me he had like another 30 minutes that he actually did that he had to chop out because it was just so long.
Yeah. 2 hours and 59 minutes, that audio videos. And I watched every second of it. It was so good. But yeah, but so that is a really interesting, we're in a really interesting time for YouTube and for attention.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Because, you know, TikTok in particular, you know, the algorithm is just unreal at like lowering your attention span and keeping you on.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty self-aware, you know, 31-year-old father. Like I've got a good head on my shoulders.
Yeah.
And there have been times where I have two people inside of me and I can hear both of their voices. And one is like, what the hell are you doing, Jesse? And the other one's like, just keep scrolling.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
I feel like I can actually feel that sometimes where like, I know part of me is disappointed in myself right now and being like, what are you doing? The 45 minutes is just gone.
Yeah.
But the other part of me is just like doom scrolling through TikTok. So it's so we're in a really weird spot, but I am like trying to dive into that world and start posting on TikTok, start posting on YouTube Shorts, create content that's funny, quick, you know, exactly what you want out of a short or a TikTok, just like a quick laugh or a quick, you know, story or something.
Yeah.
So that's been stretching those creative muscles a little bit because I kind of was just in one zone for so long.
Well, you're seeing other content creators branch out and do some IRL stuff, not just game. You're seeing like Red Ops doing golf videos. Outdoors things are happening more. And, you know, maybe that's a path where you take your shorts and like, hey, day in the life of Jesse, here's just some snippets, you know, things like that.
Yep. Yeah, it's a really like, it's an opportunity to completely reinvent the wheel and like look at it differently and be like, okay, like what works on shorts? It doesn't have to be just this one thing. Like, so
and now,
it's interesting for sure.
Looking back over the years, is there some, you know, a couple of things you would have done differently knowing what you know now?
Yeah. I don't know. Like definitely, I've definitely invested probably even more time into the YouTube thing and like more time into YouTube and like, so I think like creating the YouTube channel was the best decision I've made my entire career of doing this. 100%. I mean, like if I have, what do I have right now? Right now I have 91,632 followers. I would bet, and I'm not exaggerating, that like 60 to 75,000 of those followers came from YouTube. Like I'm not the Jesse Kazam like without the YouTube channel. Like it's unreal. But I think what I would have done earlier was like invest more heavily in studying like the data that YouTube gives you on click-through percentage, average view duration, and stuff like that. Because like you hear nowadays, you hear guys like Mr. Beast talk, and they're like, you know what I mean? It's like he's the biggest YouTuber in the world, and he's like, it's not a secret. It's like YouTube.
The data's there.
tells you exactly, like, you know, you have a low click-through rate, your thumbnail sucks. Sorry. Like, you might have thought it was good. It might be a good image, but if 2% of the people that showed it to you, your thumbnail sucks or your title sucks. If your view, you know what I mean? If 30 seconds into the video, you only have 27% of the people watching, your intro sucks. Like, you know, it's like the data's there. How to be a good YouTuber, make a YouTube video, look at the analytics and change it. And I wish I would have done that earlier and like really get into that. It's the problem is that's an exhausting.
Yes.
You can get too far into that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where like the other side of that coin is it used to take me 20 minutes to make a thumbnail for a highlight video, and I'll sit here for 3 hours and look at Photoshop and be like, I hate this. This all sucks. Nobody's gonna freaking click on this. You know what I mean? And it's like my whole day is gone on a thumbnail for a highlight video because I'm need 1 more % click-through rate. So that you can get too deep, but like finding a rhythm there where like especially if you're gonna stream on Twitch, you have to be creating content elsewhere.
Yes.
And however you're creating content elsewhere, whether that's YouTube, TikTok, you know, now there's more options.
Yeah.
And, you know, TikTok wasn't a thing. Just like, you know, listen to the data because it's because that's a different thing than Twitch. There isn't that like data, you know, Twitch doesn't tell how many people saw your thumbnail of your stream, but that didn't click. It doesn't tell you how the average view duration that somebody was live. That would actually be a really interesting metric, is how long somebody stayed. What's the average watch?
There's got to be there.
That'd be interesting because it would obviously be low because if I'm live for 5 hours, I don't have the expectation that anybody stayed for the whole 5 hours. But it would still be an interesting metric for sure.
Yeah, totally. And oh yeah, also last time we talked, you didn't have that nice silver play button behind you.
Hey,
congratulations!
Thank you.
That's really cool.
That was obviously a huge milestone. That was like, that feels crazy. I mean, that's just like trying to comprehend that number, like 100,000 people subscribe to YouTube channel. Yeah, that was really cool. Really cool moment for sure.
Yeah. And would you put that up there as, you know, one of the most memorable moments since you went live?
Absolutely. Yeah. That was one of the biggest. That was just one of the biggest things because it's just such a big number. Like, you know what I mean? Like, like, you know what I mean? I love where I'm at with all of my numbers and all the metrics, but like that's just like, and to know that like, you know, that many people saw value in what I was creating, whether it was a highlight video or a guide or something, you know what I mean? Like that, especially, you know what I mean? That was like, it's been cool to see that. So like, for me, it's like, it's like my mark on the Tarkov community because like, you know, nowadays the ratio is like most of my content is highlight videos while we're in this drought. Right. But like my library as a whole, most of my videos were guides. And so like what got me from 0 to 80K or to 90K was that. And so like to know that like as this game blew up, like to have that metric and be like, man, like literally 100,000 people were like confused about this game and you got to help it even just a little way and keep them around in the community. It's pretty cool.
It is absolutely cool. And now, you know, if you know, somebody who's listening to this or watching this and thinking about going live for the first time or making their first YouTube video, what kind of advice would you know, say to them?
Yeah, I would say like, I've actually kind of been processing, like, I've just been processing, not like what I would say to a new person, but I've been processing a lot recently, just like the world we live in and how like everything is so meta. Everything is so min-max. You're constantly berated with like, are you a creator? You need to be doing this. Are you a streamer? You need to be doing this. Or do you play Tarkov? If you don't use this gun, you're stupid. Like we're just like, we are assaulted. Yeah. And like, and I've been feeling that recently, like where we're assaulted by the best way to do our dreams too. Not just like I'm playing a game and I want to know the meta thing. Right. Like, but if you started streaming now, it's like, it's almost an offensive amount of noise and like just do it. Like just stream. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you're getting into this and you're like, I need to be profitable and providing for my family in a month, like you are just going to fail. Like a lot of people say don't get into streaming to make money. And I think the pendulum swinging a little too far. Like it is perfectly okay. You know what I mean? That's like saying don't go to med school to make money being a doctor. Like it's okay to want to make money. You just have to go through the process. And actually a better example would be like basketball. It'd be like, don't don't play basketball to make money. It's like, well, if you want to be in the NBA and make a living playing basketball, that's okay. But you have to acknowledge that to get into the NBA, it's skill and it's luck. You know, you got to be right place, right time. You got to know the right people, and you also got to practice every day forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In order to get to the NBA. So it's like recognize that like you could do everything right and fail, and that people around you will do everything wrong and succeed.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're gonna see the guy on Twitter who, you know, streams his plant grow and he's going to get 10,000 viewers just because he hits the cultural zeitgeist at the right moment.
Yeah.
And so like, but like your job is to just like do it. And it's like, and just keep an open mind on learning, like seek knowledge, but you have to just do it. You know what I mean? Because seeking knowledge is like, I don't know if the right way to say it is that it's harder now than it was before, but like, we have unlimited access to all the information. And then when all the information was recorded, everybody decided that it was their responsibility to re-record every piece of information with their opinion attached to it. So 5-6 years ago on YouTube, if you were looking to learn how to do something, there were only a few people telling you how to do that specific thing. But like if you Google how to start streaming, you'll never be able to stop scrolling through videos of somebody telling you their different flavor.
That's
true. So like that new information capacity is just different. And so it's so I do think in a way it's harder now to want to learn, because like, you know what I mean? One video will say to do something and you'll be like, that sounds like a good idea. And then the next video will be like, you are literally stupid if you do it this way. And it's like, oh, I was going to do it that way. And so it's like, you're not stupid. You're not failing. The best thing you can do, the most min-maxy thing you can do is just do it.
Yeah.
Just start, just move forward and try to learn as you go. There is no better way to do it. Of course, people are going to get lucky. Of course, people are going to pop off. And that's going to confuse you. Yeah. But like, you just got to do it.
Yeah. And you don't know unless you try. There's.
Yeah.
100%. Yep. So now what's Jesse Kazam going to be doing 5 years from now? What do you think?
I don't know. I would love to still be doing this.
Yeah.
I think like, I think as like, I love creating the YouTube content.
Yeah.
Like I really do like doing that. But that feels the most like a job.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, you know, I got to write a script, or I got to make a thumbnail, or I got to do this. How are the analytics? What is the click-through rate? You know what I mean? I feel like that's where my businessman hat is on. And streaming is just pure, unadulterated fun.
Kicking back with the boys and
me and Seal
yeah,
goofing off, having fun, and chat's vibing, because the most fun chat experience is when the streamer's having the best time. Yep. And so like, I think 5 years from now, I'd love to get to a point where I either have a team of people working with me on the YouTube so that I don't have to do as much of it, or I just am less reliant on the YouTube and it can be more highlight driven or something like that. Yeah. Because 5 years from now, I absolutely still want to be streaming. Yeah. But 5 years from now, I don't want to be working as much as I do right now. You know what I mean? Like right now, it's like approximately 30 to 35 hours a week in the office doing admin/YouTube, and I stream 40 hours a week. So it's like, I don't want to be doing that. Like, you know what I mean? The kids are still super young. I'm basically just trying to like strong arm us out of that financial situation we were in when I started and put us into a better one and secure for the future. And that's why it's just like head down, just like don't stop working. Like 5 years from now, I absolutely want to be doing this. I absolutely want to be streaming. I want to be doing that. And so I think that's like the long-term goal, is like create a way that I have a team of people that work with me that can take a lot of the admin, that can take a lot of the YouTube, and I can kind of have both worlds. I can stream a lot and enjoy it, and have more time for my family and to rest and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. You actually just reminded me of a good point. The fact that you just said, you're at a good point right now where you can just put your head down and grind to kids that are young enough age. As a content creator, no vacation days, no 401k. You've got to build that into what you do.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is like that. I mean, like we could talk for hours on the mental, like, you know what I mean? Like, and because it really is like, when you get to the point that where I'm at, very blessed It's very rare, and I'm like very aware of how blessed I am. The go live button is a money button.
Right.
It is a more money button. Like when I'm live, people are subbing, people are donating, I'm growing,
Yeah.
and I'm making myself attractive to sponsors. I'm creating content to put on YouTube. And so like you're just 4 feet away from the make money button all the time.
Yes.
And that's so hard, especially we were literally talking about this on stream last night, especially because the career is the hobby. So like I'm going to take tonight off. All right, Jesse, I told the wife, I said, once the kids go down, I'm going to take the night off. I'm going to rest. I want to do something. What do you want to do? Well, I want to game with my homies. Right? You know what I mean? So now it's like, am I really going to sit here and play games with my homies and not hit that button?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just like impossible to like take time off and take a vacation.
Yeah.
So the mental is really rough, and absolutely that's something that I need to be better at, honestly, because it's just like so hard to it's so hard to just not do it.
Yeah,
you just always feel like, and then you open your phone and you open Twitter and somebody posts they just had the best stream of their life.
Right.
Somebody posts this stream is sponsored by this.
Yeah.
And you're in your head, you're like, oh man, if I had better numbers, I could do this. If I had better this, if I was getting more views on my YouTube videos, I could get that sponsor, and then I could work less because then it could pay for the kids. And it's just like you can't get away from it. That's the big downside of this, is that you can't get away from it. You can't open TikTok, you can't open Twitter, you can't open Reddit, you can't open YouTube, you can't watch Twitch without being reminded that you could be better than where you are right now.
Yeah. Or you're missing viewers right now. You're by not being live, you're missing an opportunity.
Yeah, the meta game, the meta mental game there, it's like sometimes I'll literally be in a really good headspace. I'll be chilling and I'll be like, dude, I just want to watch some Twitch, and I'll scroll through and it'll just be like, oh, Landmark's not on. Should I be on? Like when Landmark's not on, I get 20% more viewers.
Right.
And then you're like, and then just like in an instant, boom, your whole mental can change. And it's like, and a part of that restful time you're supposed to get is ruined, because like, even if you make the decision, if you're like, no, Jesse, take the time. Now you're thinking about it, you know what I mean? You scroll, you're like, oh, Rengar's not on either. Yeah. It's like, oh my God, it's such a mental game. Yeah, for sure.
Yep, absolutely. So, the podcast. So how did you end up meeting Veritas?
Dude, that was just like 100% being a part of his community. That was a big thing early on, where I was like, I recognized that like, being a part of the games community was a thing. So like, I didn't want it to feel like I was hanging out in people's streams for hosts or anything. Like I wanted to be a part of Veritas's community. I wanted to be a part of Deadly Slob's community. You know what I mean? Those were the places I was at the most. You know what I mean? And so like, so that was it. I mean, it was just hanging out in his chat. It was, making YouTube videos. I made the YouTube video, How to Become a Legend, where it had nothing to do with Tarkov. I made this YouTube video where I basically it was like a skit, and I became Veritas and stuff like that. And like people like sent it to him, and he laughed, and he was like, he reacted to it live on stream. He was like, this is crazy. And it was just like being being in there all the time. Then he would host me, and I would host him when I could with my, 3.5 viewers and stuff like that. And that kind of grew and grew. And then I was like I was like, man, I started a YouTube channel, and that was very helpful. I was like, maybe I should start a podcast. And so I was just considering starting a podcast, and I was talking with my buddy, and he was like, yo, Veritas would be the perfect first guest. Like have him on first, you know what I mean? Like that would be great. And then go from there. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I DM'd Veritas, and I was like, bro, I'm thinking about starting this podcast. And he messaged me back. He was like, yo, I've been thinking about starting a podcast, but I don't want guests. I want to co-host. Do you want to do that? And I was like, yes. And so I mean, I remember I put the phone down, and I was like shaking. I I was at work. I texted my friend. I was like, that's the craziest thing. I couldn't believe he asked me to do that. I mean, I probably had, I don't remember, 50, 70 viewers then, and he's, 800 viewer Andy, you know what I mean? And I wasn't partner. It was many episodes in before I got partner. Yeah. And so I couldn't believe he asked me to do that. And that was a really cool, and that's become a really fulfilling thing. You know what I mean? That really is that's the current branch where it's like it's the least monetized,
Mm-hmm.
it's the least min-maxed on thumbnails,
Right.
titles, length of the podcast, topics. You know, we had Trackmania guys on,
Yeah.
but it's one of the most fulfilling. And so that kind of sits in a really good spot.
Yeah. And now I'm not joking when I say you're one of the nicest guys in our community, but Veritas is just as nice, but he gets a bad rap.
Yeah, he does.
You know, you just it's
Yeah.
you just like, oh man, because you get him off stream and you talk to him, and guy'll do anything for you at all, and it's
For
just
sure.
you know, best kind of
For sure.
yeah.
And I think it's just, yeah, like, you know, when we talk about it, me and him talk about it all the time on the podcast, where it's just like, you know, like he like, one of like the core tenets of who Veritas is like not wanting people to misunderstand something.
Yeah.
It's like, and I think, and that is what gets confused the most often,
Mm-hmm.
is that people think that one of the core tenets of him is that he needs to show you he's right. And truly, if you peel back the layers, it's a desire just for he doesn't want another human being to be misunderstood about something,
Right.
to have a wrong, you know what I mean? So like, because he knows we're all better when we have accurate information.
Yeah.
And it just so happens he's an unbelievably smart person. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, people come in and they just get this snap judgment of him, and they have no idea he has spent his life as a programmer, as an engineer,
Yeah.
like running teams, doing this kind of stuff, devoting. He spent more time doing probably, you know, the scientific testing in Tarkov than anybody else.
Oh,
He is
absolutely.
very well spoken and presents his stuff in a very specific way. And so he's devoted so much of that to educating and
Yeah.
helping people. So like, but I think like the attention span of Twitch
Mm-hmm.
doesn't jive with that as much. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like, you know, if he was just a YouTuber, the
Yeah.
perception would be different. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like, but the experience of hopping into chat in the middle of a conversation, misunderstanding what Veritas is
Yep.
saying or where he's coming from, and then poking the bear and being like,
Right.
well, you're a dick. And then he's like, I'm not a dick, you're a dick. You know, and then it's just like, and then he just like can't let that fly.
No, and then there's
so
two
then
other
it goes-
people that come in and they call him you know, and it's like, oh,
Exactly. And
yeah.
the spiral continues. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah, one of the neatest things I've ever seen was like this was when he was in the pressure
Pressure
washing mode.
washing simulator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some guy was in this chat and asking him about some programming question. He was in a class or something. And V just stopped what he was doing, brought up the whiteboard and did like a master class on programming.
That's so sick.
And it was just like, who else would do something like that,
Yeah.
you know? And it's just that,
Into somebody who's new into that space, that's invaluable.
Right.
Because like Veritas has been doing this for so long.
yeah. So I thought that was a special moment. So yeah. So he's a special guy.
For
So
sure.
now around this, I think it was around this time last year, you had an excursion to go to a gun place, Brownell's, right?
Oh yeah. I got connected with some of the guys from Brownell's, and they invited me out to do some Tarkov stuff, and that was probably the coolest experience I've ever had, to fly out there and just like hang with them and shoot guns and talk about guns and
Yeah.
build a gun, and like it was nuts.
Now, are you much of a gun guy before Tarkov or in real life?
Not like super deep. Like
Yeah.
I have enjoyed shooting guns every time I can with my friends.
Yeah.
I had built an AR like a year prior, and just the way of like, there's just no time. You know what I mean? Like I wish I could go shooting so much more. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just like it's not something that's valuable for me to do right now, but like I've always been interested.
Yeah.
But like honestly, that was part of why they wanted to work with me. It was
Yeah.
like you have the interest in it. You really took Tarkov by the horns and like mastered that, and like and so like you're a perfect person for us to show you how much they nailed it, like
Yeah.
how cool it is. Like, you know, now you almost like, it was weird building the guns. Like I know what all these things are. I know these terms. I know
Yeah.
this is a charging handle. I know this is a gas block. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, but I've shot guns very little, you know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
just know because of the game. So it was like this perfect thing where like I got to a cornerstone of my content is like being willing to be the the uneducated person.
Yeah.
Very few people are willing to do that. Very
Mhm.
few people are willing to say, I don't know.
Right.
Let's find out together. Everybody wants to be the guy that says, I know.
Yeah.
And so the whole Lessons from Beyond the Grave series is I suck.
Right.
How do I get better?
Yeah.
You know, I messed up. You know what I mean? Like I'm learning too. Let's learn together. And I think that breaks down some walls mentally of a viewer to like, you know,
He's
it's
like me.
different when it's different when it comes from like I killed 14 people on labs. Here's what I did. You know,
Right.
you're like, oh God, I'm never gonna kill 14 people on labs. But it's like, oh, I whiffed real bad, and then we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
It kind of puts it on me. Like
Mhm.
I'm willing to accept that. I'm willing to like take the like, you don't gotta worry because I'm the one that sucks.
Yeah.
So we can learn together. And I was basically like that, where I was like, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm interested. And so that was who I was. If you as a viewer didn't know anything about guns, but you were interested, you could watch them explain it to the idiot. You know what I mean? Because I was like, oh, how do you put this together? You know what I mean? And so I think that has some value to it of like somebody else to be like, yeah, we don't know together. It's not me that doesn't know. It's we don't know and we can find out. And so that was kind of the Brownells thing where it was like really cool to be put in a world that I was very interested in, that was connected to what I did, but I didn't know a lot about, and really get educated by guys who are, I mean, Brownells they've been around for so long. They're they're titans, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was really cool.
So now you know what you got to get next now. You need to find some ex-Special Forces guy to take you into one of those CBQ things. And
Dude.
like you said, just what you did with them. All right, let's take Jesse through clearing a room, clearing a house. There's your new
100%.
Content right there.
I've talked with Brownells about some cool ideas similar to that, but like I would love to do that. I would love to. One of the things, one of the videos I want to make is like you know, the most one of the most controversial Tarkov things is like the movement. You know what I mean? Like the bunny hopping, the free looking, the jumping around doors, you know what I mean? Like, you know, being out of breath after running 15 feet with 60 kilos on your back, you know, how much of that is feasible for a human being? And like, to me, that would just be such a good video to have me with 60 kilos on my back. And then, you know, freaking Baron who served, you know what I mean? Like this guy's legit, you know, and to see the difference there, like, I think that'd be fun. So something like that I want to do eventually.
That'd be cool. Yeah. I think there's Uneventful Gamers. He in your community? I know he's over in Veritas. I had him on the pod. There's a guy who could, you know, speak volumes about what
volumes.
You know, super nice guy too. That's the thing about our community. There's so many good people.
The community gets a bad rap. I really do think so. Like I think you know, the Tarkov community used to be like, everybody was like Tarkov best community, and then drops and then everything, and then obviously, like, listen, it's not just the people. There's the game is definitely in a rough spot. So you know what I mean? A lot of that frustration is warranted, but I think, like, if you ask, like, most people right now would say the Tarkov community sucks, but I really don't think so. Like, I think by and large, the Tarkov community is awesome. I think the game is just big enough to have the same problems that other big games have, which is that 11 people on social media ruin it for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, I think, you know what I mean? Like, and a great, like, the test for that would be hop into a stream. Like, I stream to 500 people, and 3 times a day, I have to be like, dude, you're a troll. Get out of here.
Yeah.
That's a good ratio. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't say that's a toxic community. That's 497 legit homies and then 3 douchebags.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I think the Tarkov community gets a bad rap right now because everyone's frustrated and sharing that frustration on Twitter and Reddit. But I really do think like Tower and Uneventful and some of these guys that have like tons of experience in the real world that like help content creators make videos or just discuss cool things. Like, there's so many cool people in the community.
And now, speaking of Tarkov, what is your take on Tarkov right now, where it's at?
I really understand the frustration. I think, like, we were talking about this the other day, the game's in a bad spot. And I don't know what to say past that. And if you, the proverbial you, come into my chat and pretend like you know what to say past that, that's when I get frustrated. It's like, the game's in a bad spot. The audio is as bad or worse than it's ever been.
Yep.
The networking is as bad or worse. The cheating is as bad or worse. And those things feel like they're stacking on top of each other more than they had in the past. Where like
Yeah.
in one raid, I'll get no audio and I'll get cheated on and some desync. And I'm like, oh, it's all happening. So like when people are like, I'm frustrated at the game, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Stop playing. I'm having fun
Yeah.
because I do this for a living, and 90% of the enjoyment I get out of the game is like just playing with the homies. I don't really play solo. You know what I mean? I
Right.
play with friends. I play with other content creators. So people are frustrated. But the line that gets crossed is just like, none of us really know, man.
No.
I just don't know. I don't know if BSG is dropping the ball and sucking wind and mismanaging their
Yeah.
resources and delaying stuff because they're being terrible, or if they're absolutely crushing it, but it's just the nature of game design and they're unforeseen hurdles. I don't know if BattleEye is banning more cheaters than any other anti-cheat out there, or if BattleEye is legitimately terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
And you don't
so
even
it's just like,
you don't even know
Yeah.
what's going on with the Ukraine-Russian thing too.
Yeah.
If that's having an impact, you don't
Exactly.
know. Yeah.
And so like, especially if you listen to the podcast, I'm very willing to criticize the things that I do have a good feeling about. Like, I wish they communicated differently.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I wish they took a page out of the like, that's something I criticize them on all the time. I wish they took a page out of the Star Citizen book and like, they have like 4 monthly shows where they talk about like, this is exactly what we're working on. Our animators are modeling this new alien. You know what I mean? And it's like, so the community's in the know. Of course, Star Citizen is notoriously struggled with dates as well. You know what I mean? Being like, oh, this game is supposed to release in 2012 or whatever. But like, they keep the community much more in the know. And like right now, it's as hostile as it's ever been in the Tarkov community because like they've been so radio silent. Now, once again, with the Ukraine war, it is really hard to know. But if you separate it from that in general, when there's silence, there's uneasiness and there's frustration. So like, I do wish BSG could communicate more. I am getting to the point where I am more frustrated than I've been about the bugs that have been the longest. Like the audio has been so atrocious for so long. Once again, I don't know how easy or hard it is to fix that, but I am being like, it's been years. Like, I really wish I could ask Nikita, like, why hasn't it gotten better? Is this an intentional choice, or do you guys just not realize how bad it is? You know what I mean? So it's like, so that's the line for me, is like, I'm very willing to like, I try to be honest. You know what I mean? I'm not a BSG shill, but like, I just can't bring myself to assign made up blame.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I and people, you know what I mean? It's just like, there's 8 different reasons. And what's weird is I feel like not assigning blame is more offensive to some people than assigning the wrong blame.
Yeah.
Truly. Like, I think 4 people would all be talking on Twitter and one person would say the game sucks because they are working with the cheaters.
Yes.
And then one person would say they're not working with the cheaters, they're just mismanaging funds. And then one person would say that the game's actually a scam and they don't ever plan.
Yeah.
And they would all be okay with each other.
Yeah.
But none of them would be okay with me being like, I don't know, like,
No.
we'll see.
Yep.
And like, no, you have to like pick a side, pick a tribe, like make something up and then yell at them for it. And so it's like, so I come off as this BSG shill when it's just like, I've just made it a habit to not say things I don't know to be true.
Yeah.
Like, it's that simple. You know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, watch an episode of the podcast. I'm very willing to criticize BSG when it comes to things that I feel like I can criticize them on. And I'm very willing to say I'm frustrated about a thing, but I'm not going to just make something up.
Right, yeah.
And I feel like that's where, if you come into my chat and you say I'm frustrated at the game, I go, hey, me too, buddy.
Yeah.
If you say I'm frustrated at the game because Nikita's an idiot, I'm like, all right, dude, go away. You know what I mean? Like,
so do you have a little Veritas on your shoulder saying, hey, I told you so. I told you these things. And has he finally broken you down?
Kind of, a little bit. I mean, yeah, like, it's like, I was such the bright-eyed, bushy-tailed Tarkov guy when we, you know what I mean? Like, 50, 60 episodes in where Veritas was really starting to feel Tarkov, I was still so optimistic. I mean, there's an episode of the podcast where I think it was 2021. I was like, where like the opening scene of that podcast was me being like, I'm calling it, Veritas. Streets is coming in December of like last year, you know what I mean? And it's October, we still don't have it. Like, it's, I don't know, but so a little bit like I'm definitely like I said, I have a shorter fuse with the things that have been in the game the
Yeah.
longest. You know, the audio, the netcode, that kind of stuff. Um, but at the end of the day,
You're having
I
fun.
still have fun. Like that, like that's the thing, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you know, like the YouTube comments are so funny. It's such a mixed bag because I'll title the video something funny just for like
Yeah.
I'm losing my mind or like this game is out of control. And the comments, you know, will be like, you know, all you do is complain. But it's like if you watch the video, like I'm not I just have fun. Like
Yeah.
every video is me and Valiant or me and Sealable laughing our butts off at
Yeah.
this game. You know what I mean? Like I enjoy playing it, but at the same time, I'm very understanding of people who are like, I can't play this game right now.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Take a break.
honestly, yeah, it's like I would not be playing this game 40 hours a week if I didn't stream it. Like
Yeah.
for sure. You know what I mean? So I totally get when people are frustrated.
Yeah. Absolutely. So now, any of your boys that are flying under the radar, people should go check out? Check out their streams.
Oh, I mean, dude, all the homies, the guys I play with the most are like Sealable Bag, Desmond. I feel like he's someone that like one of the original homies. Um, those guys are absolutely worth checking out. And then I've been playing a ton with like Valiant and J Bebe,
Yeah.
some of the guys. And so there's a lot, man. I really do feel like there's a lot. Once again, I'm glad I got in when I did because
Yeah.
Tarkov, there's a lot of streamers now. Because I really do think there are a lot of small streamers. That's honestly like I'm glad you brought that up because like that is honestly like if you're frustrated at Tarkov and you don't find yourself playing it as much, but you like watching it, you like being a part of the community, one of the best things you can do to like freshen up the game is like scroll down in the Twitch directory a little bit and click on a smaller streamer and watch because like there are so many extremely entertaining, extremely nice people that stream this game that are smaller streamers because you know there's just so many of us
Yeah.
now that'll just give you like a fresh entertaining perspective on the game.
That's
Um,
really good. Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Awesome. So now, any sponsors you want to give a shout out to that's been there for you?
I mean, like Juju's been the one, man.
Yeah.
Like, Juju has been like the longest running sponsor of the show. And they're awesome people. The people love it. I
Yeah.
love Juju. I still drink it every single day after all these years. So they're definitely the homies.
Awesome. Now we got to get you a pizza though. We need a pizza sponsor.
Man, I have spent so much time thinking about that. I'm like talking with my agency and I'm like, dude, we gotta like I've DM'd like Pizza Hut Gaming's Twitter and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Nobody will get back to me. And I'm like, I promise. Like I have carefully crafted this persona. And I'm like, just give me a chance. I promise my community will show up. Like,
Yeah.
but I'm just telling myself that like we're waiting for the right thing. You know what I
Well-
mean? Like eventually something's gonna come
Well,
along.
I know they like gamers because I had there's a Fortnite streamer, Sparkles QT, and she has the Pizza Hut gold card with a Pizza
my
Hut
God.
jacket. I'm telling you, they hook her up. I got to put you guys together, and a Fortnite Escape from Tarkov, pizza.
That's
Yeah,
the dream.
that would be-
That Pizza Hut gold card. That is the dream. Absolutely.
Awesome. Any goals you got planned or anything coming up? You looking
Not
forward
really.
to?
Just pushing through. Really hoping for I know I'm gonna die of my own copium, but Streets of Tarkov. Whatever the next wipe is. Would be great.
Yeah.
The horizon. We were talking a little bit beforehand. Like I think we're at a breaking point. Not a breaking point. But we're at a crux in Tarkov where like if they can get past. We've known for years that a huge technical hurdle for them, that an enormous amount of the studio has been working on Streets. And if we can just get to the other side of it and get to some of these other mechanics, like
Yeah.
I think it could open up a lot of the content creation again, a lot of nude content, a lot of story-driven content, narrative-driven content.
Yeah.
So like if we can just get there, so like that's kind of the big thing, always keeping an eye on Star Citizen, keeping an eye on DMZ, but like
Yeah.
the goal is like get through the rest of this year, really assess, what the next year's probably going to look like with Tarkov, and then kind of go from there.
Awesome. And now, there's probably the answer is like there is no free time, but when you disconnect, what, between how do you balance, dad, husband, and a passionate content creator?
Poorly. I end my stream. I go lay on the couch. I lay on the couch and watch an episode of The Wire.
Yeah.
Fall asleep 30 minutes in, go to bed, and then the next day I just rewind The Wire a little bit. And
yeah,
I mean, yeah, I love watching TV and you know, consuming media, and then I love just like going out to eat with
nice.
with my wife. So we've been trying to do more date nights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now that we can like, you know, afford to get a sitter here for a little bit. So yeah, just spending time with the family is the big refill right now.
Cool. All right, man. Well, hey, you survived the podcast, but before you go, you got to shout out somebody who in your circle you think has a good story that should come on.
Oh, that's a good question. Have you guys had Valiant on?
Valiant's been on, yes.
Okay, Valiant is great. Like
he's an ex-skateboarder pro too.
Yeah. He's got so many layers, man.
Oh,
He's got so many layers. Absolutely. I mean, like the homie, like the closest homie I've got in the gaming community is Seal.
All right.
Like he's been a part of the community since I had like 12 viewers.
Yeah.
Now he helps me with like some of my thumbnail. He's gotten into the 3D design and has gotten into crazy stuff. He works full time. He streams,
and he's a Canadian, right?
And he's Canadian,
yes.
And so like he's absolutely somebody that would be a joy to talk to for sure.
All right, we'll get you to twist his arm and we'll get him on.
Oh yeah.
Well, Jesse, thank you so much, man. It's been. Oh, actually, no. Where does the Kazam come from?
Okay, legitimately, when I was like 12 years old, my friend was like, "Yo, we should have cool nicknames," and I was like, "Yeah, we should." And he was like, "I'm gonna call you Jesse Kazam," and I was like, "Sweet." That's the whole story. I hate more than anything creating a username for something.
Yeah.
So from the day I was 12 years old, everything ever, my RuneScape name was, you know, like old school RuneScape, my gamer tag on Xbox, it was all just Jesse Kazam. And I didn't think we would get to anywhere where we are today. So I created the Twitch. I just put Jesse Kazam, and that is literally it.
That's beautiful. That's a great story. Oh my God. All right. Well, hey, thank you. And you have a good night, my friend.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.